We're talking about 5 cozy games today, and let's start off this list with Animal Crossing New Horizons. Animal Crossing released in March of 2020, basically at the height of the pandemic, and it definitely helped a lot of people through these hard times. I know for myself, I played this game for 2 or 3 hours a day, basically every day for several months straight, and it really just helped keep my mind off of things, and I know it did the same thing for a lot of other people. Now that being said, Animal Crossing New Horizons is actually really fun. There's so much you can do. You can build your own house, customize it how you like, put in wallpaper, carpet, hardwood floor, whatever you want to do, decorations, really anything that you want to do. You can plant trees, build houses for more neighbors, change up the island however you want. You can, at some point, once you beat the main part and get an island rated at 3 or more stars, you can terraform the island, which means you can really just totally customize how this thing looks. You can add hills, you can just make everything flat, you can throw in some rivers, really do anything that you want. And since its release, it's getting a lot of extra content, just free DLC just added to the game. And on top of the free DLC, there's actually a paid DLC pack that you can buy that adds a ton of things to this. Animal Crossing is available digitally and physically on the Nintendo Switch. Now the rest of these games are on the Switch, but they're also on multiple other platforms. So you have an Xbox or a PlayStation or even a PC for some of these. You can play these games. Now the next game on the list, believe it or not, is a game called Power Wash Simulator. And yeah, it seems really weird to play a game where you're power washing something where, I guess you could get a power washer and just power wash things in real life, but there's something magical about Power Wash Simulator that I think you just can't emulate in a real life situation. The game has just so many different scenarios. Basically, you're an employee of this company that power washes things, and they give you all these different things to clean. To start off with something small like vehicles, like a motorcycle and like a van, and then eventually you go into someone's backyard. And essentially the way the game is set up is each item has different segments that you wash, and if you get to a certain amount of washed, they shine and it shows that they're completely clean. And once you complete that item, it adds to the percent of how clean you've made everything for the whole scenario. So in the very beginning, when you're washing the van, it's really just the tires, the windshield, the windows, the sides, everything like that. There's a guy's backyard you go into. Basically, it's cleaning one part of the patio, cleaning the fence. But just me describing this just sounds totally insane. But honestly, just take my word for it. I played it a couple times, maybe 3 or 4 times, and every time I go to play Power Wash Simulator, I'm I just want something to play for a little bit, something that's just calm and there's no expectations really. I end up playing it for 4 hours straight, just because it's so cozy. It's just so simple, and the sound of the water, the power washing things, is just kind of soothing. And when you're washing some guy's patio, or you're washing some specific thing and you're just kind of going up and down on a fence and just washing the fence, there's just something there's something about it. I can't even describe it without sounding crazy, but it's such a good game. Again, this one's on Switch, Xbox. I originally played it on Xbox because it was on Game Pass for some time. I'm not sure if it's still there, but it's on PlayStation, it's on PC. You can play it basically anywhere. I highly recommend Power Wash Simulator. It's available now basically everywhere. Donut County is such a silly game. I don't know of any games that are really like this. Well, actually, there are a couple of games that basically emulate the gameplay aspect of it, but there's just something to this that there's a story to it, there's characters to it, and it's just really funny and really entertaining. And the gameplay is pretty simple. You're a little hole in the ground, and you go around this little area and you just try to grab things, and as you grab more things, the hole gets bigger, so you can grab the bigger things. And as the levels go on, things start to get larger and larger, and it just kind of gets crazier and crazier. Kind of like if you've ever played Katamari Damacy, or any of the games in that series where you basically you're a little character that just rolls a ball of stuff and you're supposed to collect a ton of stuff. It's kind of like that, but you're a hole in the ground instead. Now what's cozy about this game is that you just kind of go around the little area and you pick up the stuff. There's no timer, there's no expectation, you don't have to do anything in any particular order. There's really nothing crazy about it, and at the end you unravel this really funny story with these really funny characters, and it's another game I really highly recommend. Now this game, again, also available pretty much everywhere: Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, Switch. You can even get it on an iPhone or an Android phone. Really great game, highly recommend it. Stardew Valley is a smash hit. It sold something like 20 million copies across all the different platforms it's on, and let's be real, it's on pretty much everything. And what's wild is this game's developed by a single person, Eric Barone. Before making Stardew Valley, he didn't know anything about making video games. He taught himself how to program a game, taught himself the art, taught himself how to make the music, and then did everything himself. Every single part of this game was made by him. And if you're not familiar with Stardew Valley, it kind of pays homage to the old Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons games, which are farming simulators, but they're kind of more of like a farming and life simulator as well. And a lot of these games start basically the same way. Your grandfather or a distant relative has a farm, he passes away and gives you the farm in his will, and you decide to leave your stressful and busy city life and go live on this farm and try to become a farmer. And now that may sound really weird and boring, and the gameplay can be a little bit repetitive at times, but it is really fun to play. There's so many things you can do. You can grow all these different crops. You can do all these different things with the crops. Like you can take like berries and then put them into a barrel and you can make wine or something like that. And you go out into the town and talk to the townspeople. You can make friends with them. Some of them you can date and marry. What's great about Stardew Valley particularly is that it doesn't matter what character you play as. You play as male or female character. You can date and marry male or female characters. It doesn't really matter. The pool of characters that you can date and marry are the same ones no matter what character you pick. And the pixel art style of this game is just really great. It runs really well. It runs basically on everything. You can get it on Switch, you can get it on Xbox, PlayStation, your phone, tablet. It's basically anything that you could think of that can play games. Very likely you can play Stardew Valley on it. And the last game we're talking about today is a Story of Seasons game. It's Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town. Now, Story of Seasons is one of the franchises that Stardew Valley pays homage to. In Friends of Mineral Town, you would do basically the same thing as I described before. You grow crops, talk to townspeople, you can make some friends, date some people, get married, do a bunch of other adventures. It has its own story, its own vibe, its own feel. So it's a very different game than Stardew Valley, even though it's in the same genre. And now, weirdly enough, this game started out as a PlayStation game called Harvest Moon Back to Nature, which played a lot like Harvest Moon 64 on the Nintendo 64. The game was then adapted to a Game Boy Advance game called Harvest Moon Friends of Mineral Town, and now being remade is now on the Switch under the Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town. And now if you're confused about why some of these games are named Harvest Moon and some of these games are Story of Seasons, it's because there's basically a licensing issue between the company that makes the game and the company that localized it in the US. And if you want to see a video where I go way more in depth into that story, you can go ahead and click right here to watch that. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.